Hey folks, how y'all doing? In a couple minutes here, Demi the Daredevil is gonna join the live, and we're gonna have a conversation. But yeah, who's gonna come see us in Dallas tomorrow night, and on in Atlanta on Wednesday? Hey, hello, how you been? I've been good. How you been? Okay, yeah, lots of you here. Let's just make it a Q&A. Oh hell yeah, filthy hipster millennial. Do you have your tickets already? Because Atlanta tickets are going fast. Yeah, we're in Dallas tomorrow night and Atlanta on Wednesday. Just think, where are you from? How you doing? That's badass. Bring everyone you know. The more the merrier. I'm really looking forward to Atlanta. It's one of my favorite cities. What is the best Queen song? Maybe Somebody to Love? Each morning I get up, I die a little. I can barely stand on my feet. Oh, fuck it, man. So be late for class. Who gives a shit? It's a rock show. You'll be out of there by 10:30 p.m., maybe 10 p.m. We'd love to have you out. If you are in Tennessee, I think you should come and see us in Chicago. That's not too bad a trip. We're playing Chicago November 6th. Yeah, we did. We spent an afternoon in Austin and went to this really cool restaurant, Asian fusion with barbecue called Loro. We happen to love our time in Austin. But yeah. If you could take things to a deserted island, what would they be and why? Um, I have no idea. Music, I guess. I don't think I'd be particularly. My skill set for a deserted island isn't great. Um, yes, let's play another show together. But Boyan Brothers, are you in Atlanta these days, or are you in Florida? Where you at? Scott Raymond Thompson, where are you from? Where's everybody from? Icefire Phoenix 22. Are you coming to the Dallas show tomorrow? Oh, we'll come. We're playing Atlanta on Wednesday. We could put you on the guest list, but um, I don't know who's opening in DC and Philly. I want it to be Savoya, but we'll see what happens. Okay, there he is.
It's Hillary.
Let's say. All right, he's got to join. There it is.
See if this works. Hey,
How you doing?
can you can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Man, I wish my ring light. I got a little ring light, and it's like kind of covering your eyes, but I want to see your face. So I'm gonna move it. There we go, dude. Well, this is awesome being able to talk with you. I'm glad you suggested this right now. Anybody who just jumped in the chat, yeah, just Charlie just said, "Do you want to go live?" And I said, "Okay, I'm just decompressing for my family. for just a bit, and then we're gonna do this.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like we've sort of got the night off, and just do some last minute sort of pushes for this Dallas show, and hopefully get you know our fans into your tunes and vice versa. Um, that's sort of what I was thinking because I've been a fan of yours for a while, and when there was this opportunity to play shows in Texas, you were the first person I thought of, and the the show. Like,
Dude, that's that's amazing. I think there might be a little bit of lag, FYI, if I'm responding differently, but uh yeah, like I've been a fan of you for a hot minute. Your vocals, they kind of like some of my favorite bands like TBS and Head Automatica. They had a certain quality to their voice, and I feel like you're one of the few that I haven't heard anyone do that, since then. But you definitely have that, and I sense that you're real, and I sense that you have some, like, I don't know. We talked about that. We guys, anybody who's just joining this chat, like Charlie and I were talking at the last yeah, when we were talking in San Antonio, and I was like, I just pick up on you having like this something that I relate to, where it's like this like urgent need to express yourself, and it's some kind of urgency that I don't necessarily see in everybody, but I feel like you have that. Like, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and like, but I think we'd already been talking about this. I just feel like it maybe is the result of like a very intense kind of mind, and it could go down one way, like a dangerous path if you're not like channeling yourself uh, through art. But then that goes back to mental health, which is why a lot of my community is relates heavily on that, and I'm assuming yours does too.
I think so. I think that like um I've been diagnosed with a couple different that I think really affects um my behavior and how I see the world. But I I think there's a universality to feeling sensitive, too sensitive for the world, and feeling outcasted in one way or another. So I just think that there's something uh, powerful about addressing through pop music um, that there's just a sort of deep loneliness or out of place feeling that a lot of people have, and it's labeled all sorts of different things. But I just want people to come to the shows and listen to the tunes and have some form of catharsis or being seen.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting point. I mean, both of those things. It's like being hypersensitive, being too sensitive to this world. So like we like relate to the being empaths, and that maybe contributes to us feeling so different in environments that we're currently in. I mean, maybe it's like a smaller percentage of people who get overwhelmed, but um, yeah, but it's kind of amazing to like be able to connect with people. Like, I don't know, it's like the first time that I've ever felt like I belonged anywhere was through the people who were listening to stuff I was putting out and connecting with them in person. And I don't know, it's a beautiful thing.
Maybe you're sick of sick of telling this um, story, but I'd love to hear how you got into music and the kind of bands you played in and sort of the early days.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like I tried going to school twice, two or three times. Like I was kind of going for music with the guy who started this band. He started this band. He was like a Jim Carrey kind of character, very funny, very talented, very like a Mozart kind of like.
My food just got here. I'll be right.
Oh yeah, sure. Hey, guys, I feel like I'm not hearing, I think the comments are delayed. I might need to like rejoin because the last thing I saw was Maddie saying a Demi.
Oh, what's going on?
Hey, Char, would would you mind? I think my something is lagging. Would you mind if I rejoin real quick? It's gonna take like 20 seconds, guys. Okay, I'm gonna
Go,
do that.
go for it, brother.
Cool.
That's my man. That's Demi the Daredevil. He's gonna come back. We're gonna get it going again. But yeah, what a sweet guy and what a great musician. We're gonna be playing together tomorrow in Dallas at a place called the Sundown at Granada. Oh, thank you so much, Amy. I appreciate that. Little Vamp X and Demi, but I'm just gonna go live with Demi. Hey, folks.
Oh my gosh, solved. Okay.
All right,
Uh,
pick it up.
I mean, yeah, just basically the way I started, I was a drummer, and I was introduced to an amazing person who was listening to film scores and making awesome music that I was never introduced to somebody who had such good taste, I feel like. And so I was just a drummer, and I went to school and I didn't take it that seriously. And then I came back one summer and I heard the new songs he was making. I'm like, this is amazing. I have to drop out for this. So I dropped out of school. We did it. Uh, like anything else, like anybody who's going after the thing, it's just like a fairy. It's to be expected that something isn't going to work right away. So it didn't work out. Like there was troubles. He passed away. It was the hardest thing in the world. I went back to school, and I just realized that I needed an outlet. And the way I looked at this changed. Like he inspired me initially, but I wanted to keep the name. Uh, and I don't know, I needed an outlet, and it was out of like a need for purpose and to get out of my mental health. So the project became more mental health based, and it was just to like heal myself and to find my identity. So that's what it was for me. And I only played with this band. We were playing with, all types of bands, a lot of pop punk. Um,
That's incredible. I think that's such a that's such a streamlined purpose for making music. Like often you talk to people about like what music's purpose is in their life, and you get this sort of fragmented answer where it's like, well, I think it's this and I think it's that, um et cetera, et cetera. It's so cool that you're able to just break it down as this thing that you do to keep yourself alive and honest.
yeah, and dude, do you relate to that? I feel like I've always picked up on that from your stuff. Like there's
Yeah.
some kind of, yeah. It's like
And
it's like not to be cliche with being an artist, but I feel like you're that kind of like the epitome of like not a tortured artist, but like somebody who's like, oh, I'm like an artist, like not like a pretentious artist, but like an artist. I need to do this.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Oh, somebody in the chat says I do theater and I found my family. That's really relatable. I was a major theater kid.
Really?
Um, oh, big time. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, anyone who's not aware, Charlie is also an actor, like a professional actor.
And and yeah, there's a lot of sort of community and catharsis in that, and in writing plays as well. That's something I did. I've never had I've never had an issue doing something I thought I was gonna fail at. I just always look at whatever these things are as like, if something seems exciting or fun to me, I want to give it a shot, even if I seem really not meant for it. Like with music, I was tone deaf, like I couldn't sing very well at all, but I desperately wanted to be a singer, so I just put the work in. And while people sort of were telling me that it wasn't for me, or or what have you, I was just sort of saying to myself, well, that's not up to you. That's up to me. Like I'm like
Yeah.
and
Right.
what was cool about that is it immediately sort of separated into an audience of people who dug what I was doing authentically. So rather than trying to impress all these other bands and other people in the scene who thought I couldn't sing or thought I was a joke or whatever, I just went to where I don't know. I just had a good radar for there's a chunk of people that's pretty small that digs what I'm doing, so I'm going to gravitate towards that rather than and just go for what other people think is cool, which I think is like sort of what we both love about like that chunk of emo bands, even though they probably wouldn't describe themselves as emo, but like the Used and MCR and
Right.
and like that's what I have so much respect for all those bands and how much they just led with what made them unique.
Right. I know. I mean, it's so true. I mean, like, I was just thinking about that. I was just telling my brother that yesterday because somebody was criticizing, he's a classical pianist, and somebody was criticizing his new YouTube channel as a classical pianist. And yeah, I noticed that from him. I was like, just, you've always been original. You always couldn't help but being extremely original. Just lean into that and do it to the max. And that's really hard to do. I'm still figuring out how to do it more and more. Like, it's just like to get blinders on and just be like to focus on aspects that make this different, even though everybody is telling you do not do that. Like, it's usually the stuff that they're saying do not, like we were talking about that in San Antonio, where they're saying, like, you're like, you feel this pressure to conform to rules and expectations of like, here's the pop structure, and then you're like, I'm just going to do something with no chorus, and then that actually is what works. So yeah.
I think that there's this a really good thing to remember is like no one knows what they're doing, and so like taking an expert's advice, especially if they're trying to sell you on something, especially if they're just trying to make money, is pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's for sure.
Like I think it's corny, I suppose, but like if anybody is in watching this live and wants to be in entertainment, the best advice is just shit like follow your heart, don't give up, because everything else is sort of case by case.
Like, it's always like there's so many different routes to how one can do it. Yeah. I mean, totally.
I'm a late bloomer, and like, so I encourage everybody to just like, if they love it, stick with it. But
dude, have we ever talked about being a late bloomer? Or I can't remember if we've ever mentioned that, but that's my biggest, like, that's my biggest insecurity, and it's probably going to be the biggest strength also of mine. Like, because it's like, yeah, just everything developmentally and was just slower and like just taking more time. But that's cool that you mentioned that. And I know that so many people can relate to that. It's like, and I don't know if that's purely a mental setback, or like something that prevents a quicker execution of things, or if it's a family background kind of thing, like, how privileged were you to to just like be raised with like, you know, yes, some in certain cases, I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
the nature versus nurture of being a late bloomer. I don't know, man. I don't know a ton of people who um it, experienced success or fame or expressing themselves in this way that really took off um super early on in life or super early on in their career, that was able to sustain it or understand it. There's a cool like motto, which is rejection is protection. So like whatever you were rejected from, you were meant to be rejected from,
yeah.
and your sort of journey's happening with the exact timing it's supposed to, which is obviously a hard thing to hear when you see your friends or your scene blowing up, and you're like, why didn't I get that show? Why didn't I get this playlist? Why didn't I get that tour? Whatever. But the truth is that like a really good way to ruin your life is constantly comparing yourself to other artists.
Yeah, that's oh man. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. And someone is mentioning ADHD in the chat, and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what's going on in my brain right now. Just like I'm thinking like four different things while Charlie is talking, and I'm looking at your comments and commenting and thinking like the rejection is protection. Like we read this empaths book every night, and I just read that 2 days ago, just coincidentally. It's just like you yeah, like yeah, it's just so it's just I just love that stuff. I love synchronicities and
Me too.
things that just yeah, like they just happen at the I don't know. But then we can get all metaphysical. I don't know. There's
Well, like there's a good example of like um Greta Gerwig was originally cast in two and a half in How I Met Your Mother. Greta Gerwig was like one of the main cast members of Big Bang Theory. Greta
oh,
Gerwig did the pilot for Big Bang Theory, and
as
was
an
fired.
actor,
Yeah,
as an actor or a director.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, as an actress, that's all she was doing at the time. Like she wrote on the side and stuff,
Got it.
but she was cast in Big Bang Theory as the lead woman, and they shot the pilot and everything, and she got fired, and then that was around when she started to do Frances Ha and get cast in Noah Baumbach things, which led to her eventually writing and directing, the biggest blockbuster of the past 5 years.
Lady Bird. I mean,
Lady, and then Barbie.
I mean Barbie. I forgot she just of course. That's crazy. Yeah.
But like that's sort of the rejection is protection thing at work, because you can look at songs that you wanted to take off that didn't, or what have you, um and it just might teach you a lesson instead of being exactly how you wanted it.
Man, that's it's that's the best message that I could hear for myself is like being I don't know if you ever heard of the Enneagram. If anybody here has heard of the Enneagram book, it's like it's my bio, like it's one of like there's like 4 books or 3 books that I've read that has the most wear and tear. It's this book of personality types, and like my type, the 4, or it's like I have a problem with envy, and that's like my root problem where I'm always making comparisons and always like taking rejection to be like there's something wrong with me, deeply flawed about me.
Oh, no.
There's something, yeah, it's like there's something that's unsolvable about me that is creating the rejection or whatever that fear. So it's just the best message that I could hear. So I don't know. I appreciate it all. Like, okay, so man, there's just I'm so excited to talk with you because I feel like, okay, for one, as I mentioned, chat, Charlie's an actor, and I've always respected actors being able to be. It's a different kind of performance ability or level of awareness than a musician. You got to be present when you're performing, but to be an actor and to embody emotions on the fly, you have to have a lot of clear perception. You have to be even more in tuned. I feel so. Like that's just I don't even know what to. I didn't plan anything to specific to ask you about acting, but I just want to say I respect it a lot, and that's got to be really hard because you have to have realizations. I feel like every day. I feel like you got to be really, really like sensitive to the moment, and you got to be in touch with your emotions all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, arguably, like, I think that's like the most interesting life possible is one with high highs and low lows, where you are trying to stay present throughout. And
Okay.
I do think that on some level, like music and acting, certainly performing on stage, whether it's a play or um, or a concert, I pretty much see them as the same thing. Like I think I get on stage and um, the lyrics I've written sort of are more or less the story that's going to be told over an hour, and my scene partners are my bandmates and the audience, especially the audience, right? Because
Okay.
we have call and answer, respond, right? Like especially if they know their lines, then I get to look out at the crowd and see, you know, like a girl the other night in San Antonio um, was sort of singing to her friend. She didn't even notice that I was noticing that I knew that she knew all the words. But we got to this part in Jungle where I go, um, oh honey, um, just please shut me up. She thinks it's sexy when the boys don't want to talk so much. And so I only the first half of that line. I just sing, "Oh, honey, please shut me up." And then I see this girl a couple rows deep, and she's singing to her friend, and she sings the answer line. You know, she thinks it's sexy when the boys don't want to talk so much. And the way her facial expression was, with like all the sarcasm and sort of eye roll and winking that line has, when I wrote it, and the way that I thought it should be interpreted, she had all of it, and that just sort of made my night. That this thing that we created is sort of being lived in
Right.
so vivid, so vibrantly.
Like she like you're transfer like she's almost acting your line. She's understanding what
Like,
you
yeah,
what you
yeah.
wrote. It's just
And every now and then there'll be moments in a show where I'll see people imitating me or
that's the
imitating
coolest thing.
I perform, and I think that's for whatever reason, I just find that to be incredibly flattering.
Dude, that's like it's I don't know, it's like similar to acting in the sense of you're like the screenplay and then the people who are singing are like the actors.
Exactly.
That's
And I think that there is something, you know, sometimes it does feel like we're just like any other rock band, just because I love rock music so much. But I do think that might be something that makes us special, is sort of the fact that it is a a theater kid that is sort of calling the shots.
dude, is that okay, man. Okay, so I guess that's one subconscious reason, or for whatever intentional reason, we're connecting. Everyone notices that we're a theatrical band,
Yeah.
and you have that heavily in you. clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, not to fill space, but I really am curious. And I've missed the chat questions. People were asking certain things. Well, maybe we can have time to go back to it.
That'd
But
be awesome.
you're I'll just say briefly. Okay, so you've had so much critical success, right? Like I feel like from an outside view, that's like there's so many different types of success, and I've always read about like, oh, there's this kind of success, there's this, and I feel like if I look at you, I'm like, oh, this guy's like, this band is a critical success. They have so much acclaim from people who are like appreciating, analyzing art and thinking about it. So maybe that's like an intellectual, like people are smart and they're analyzing what you do. But I was curious if like, did you intentionally plan on that being your kind of success, or did it just end up like that was like a huge thing that you did?
No, no. Like it that uh, that so wasn't on my radar.
It wasn't.
My mentor growing up, the guy who got me into music, or sort of like um, taught me how to play guitar and helped me with my songwriting. Um, he was a lot like Dewey Finn from School of Rock, like
The roommate.
like the Jack.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay.
He just told me that the only things that were important were write good songs and play good shows.
Okay.
And
I totally relate to that. Yes.
what happens after that is like almost none of my business.
Yeah. God, I love that, dude.
And
You're one of the very few that is thinking on those terms right now. Like everything is about, because that would be an example of an opposite or another angle, which is very common right now. Very is just like, how can I con people into clicking what I'm doing, right?
yeah, I suppose so. I mean, that's an interesting like. Um.
I mean,
Well, that
maybe that's cynical, or maybe it's just maybe it's
no. That's completely valid and realistic in terms of how some people market themselves. I think that marketing oneself can look a lot of different ways. I morally try to do things that are sort of positive. I know that on some level, I could do some nonsense clickbait at the expense of another person, and it would be rewarded just because of social media rewarding outrage. And times in my life I've noticed that like I've thought to myself like, fuck, like doing this the right moral way or doing this the hard way is really frustrating. Like I'm seeing these people just like outrage farm and be cruel and whatever, and it's weird to understand that that's always an option that one could take theoretically. But I think with all of music, I'm more inspired and dictated by a moral compass than one of typical I'd like to do things in a way that I can sleep at night, and in a way that, you know, if I'm gonna go on stage and talk about and think passionately about being you know, pro survivors and you know, pro-gay kids and pro-trans kids and pro-democracy and like all this shit, like, then I can't stomach, you know, be like playing shows with abusers or whatever it is, right? So it's like it has to be this thing that like lines up with what I believe, if I can, if that's possible. And so there are these sort of clickbait shortcuts, but it doesn't sit right with my soul, and I don't really think it lasts. I'll get into the band in a way that they want to see us more than once, and they have more than one favorite song. And maybe this sounds like a tangent, but like that's another thing that sort of gets under my skin about the way people market music these days. I think if you can describe your song in one sentence that's like really digestible, then why would people want to listen to the song more than once? If it's not layered in such a way that, like, yeah, it is about that, but it's also about this, and it's also about this, and you know, some days you'll listen to it and hear all the humor, and some days you'll listen to it and realize how deeply sad it is, you know?
Man, I'm glad that I hope I'm not embarrassing myself by understanding what you said. Was just like, if you're able to describe a song in a sentence, then it might not have that other dimension to it. Like it's okay to not be able to describe it, because that's my biggest issue. Is I'm like, I cannot communicate that, like, what I went through for this. Like, it's just there's so many different angles, and there's so many it's not just like it's never a passing feeling. It's in the moment, but it's usually just like a gigantic experience, at least to me. And then it's really hard to just distill that.
I think, yeah, no, I completely agree, and you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to be able to explain something as gargantuan, like, complicated, and layered as a rock song. You shouldn't have to be able to communicate what that means in, like, in a little package wrapped up with a bow in one sentence. And that's why a lot of music promotion sort of bums me out, because ultimately I'm not really interested in spoon feeding what something means. I want to know what an audience member thinks it means to them. What's it communicating to you? Like, that's way more interesting, and way more like, you can just sink your teeth into something if it comes from the heart, and it's layered and complicated, because that's how life is, right?
Totally.
That's sort of my take. So I'd encourage you to just continue doing your thing, and worry less about having to explain it or market it, because what I realized about myself and my ideas is I can communicate better through a song than I ever could a conversation.
Yeah, totally relate. I mean, you know what? Like, back to, like you said, like, why? I think you might have asked, like, why did I get into this? And I think it was just so much of, I thought I was a mute. I literally thought I for a bit I thought I was a mute, because I couldn't say what I was going through except through writing. And so it's an example. If anybody has a weakness, then you can actually make that into just the polar opposite, which is like, this is, I desperately need this to be a strength, because it's so deficient in my conversation. So yeah, that's how I've always felt. I'm like, I can't I can't I can't say it. And then in writing, there's a time, there's a meditative quality, you slow down with art, and you can find an outlet to say it. Yeah.
I mean, I think that is that so describes certainly how I've felt, and I think why I love writing so much, and why yeah I yeah I've it's a complete like not only therapeutic but just sort of um this all-encompassing thing from me. Like it's not lost on me how grand and great a privilege it is that I say shit and people care about it. So I try to take that really seriously.
Right. I know. I know. And I know. Yeah. I don't know. Like my experience is just like I was the youngest kid out of 4 siblings, and
Same here, baby.
no way. Were you?
Yeah, youngest of 3 boys.
Oh my God. That's crazy. Okay. So we probably have a similar experience of you have the dominant ones taking over the conversations.
Totally. Yeah, no. I grew up yeah, yeah, man, I have a pretty domineering, very funny, very smart family. But man, if you couldn't like keep up, you were fucked.
Did you say smart family?
Really smart, really funny.
Okay, okay. Got it. In a sense, that was, yeah, man. That's honestly good because I do feel like that in certain ways. Like everyone has their problems, but yeah, that might have when you're when you're like that might have pushed you. That might have really pushed you.
Well, I was really bad at school, and they're all incredibly intellectual. So my gift for um, whatever an emotional intelligence or understanding um, or being able to communicate through when I was younger poetry and eventually songs was something that they didn't really encourage or care about. So it was just this really interesting thing to learn as I grew up that was um, uh, a gift to sort of be nurtured and understood. But yeah, no, very 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 much the black sheep growing up.
Yeah, everyone. I'm sure so many people here. I know you guys relate to this.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking. I thought it was important. We missed so many of these things, but somebody said, do you feel, Irene said, do you feel pressure to be somebody to everybody? And that was something that I saw that like a minute ago, and I was like, I mean, I still have that issue where I'm feeling pressure to show up as like this like most receptive part of myself, and like that's it. That's like I was a philosophy major.
Oh,
Just to brief, I ended with that, and I like Nietzsche, this
hmm.
German philosopher. He was just like, are you air and bread and medicine to your neighbor? And like if you're not, like some people can't like loosen their own chains, they can't help other people. So I live like I feel so much pressure to live by that. I'm like, I just want to be good presence to you, to
Yeah.
people, to anybody. And so that could be an example. Whoever asked, Irene asked that, and that's it makes me put off communications with the world because there's so many people that I mean, Charlie, you can relate. It's just like as if you're a musician, you're out and there's so much communications aspect to this what we're doing, and like I'm such an introvert and a hermit, and it's very hard to communicate with everybody, and I want to be like that receptive, great, self. But in that sense, I want to be a good presence to everybody, and it's just like it's not possible. So I don't know. I have no solution to that. I wish I did. So I just thought that was interesting. I'm like, I still don't know how to not be. Yeah.
I totally love that. I totally love that quote and that concept. Because it does sort of come down to that. That is sort of the most important stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when it comes to being an introvert or being, I suppose like I'm not sure I'd label it as such, but like, definitely I'm anxious in social situations, and I think I try to remind myself that like it's part of the job and the juice is worth the squeeze. And I try to think about what I really, really love about being an entertainer when I am forced to do the things that I don't love about being an entertainer.
Okay. And that's really important. Can you give can you give your why in one sentence? Just kidding. That's not possible. That's like a song. Maybe it is that simple, but I'm just curious. Do you have a reminder of like or reminders?
I love playing live.
Me too.
I love writing. Um, I love sort of finding what the band means to people, and and uh, and sort of like connecting, and especially if you're playing live, though, that I think that sort of is my favorite.
Y'all,
Energetic.
Charlie's just mentioning his like basically these we share the same values. That's why we're here right now. So if anybody's like, because I feel like people come up a lot and they're just like, how do you meet so and so? How are you connecting with
Yeah.
people that you want to connect with? But this is a perfect example because everything you're saying, I'm just like, oh, this makes total sense. This is exactly what I want to do. I want to have deep connections. I want to write and I want to create. And I want to perform live and certain different strokes for different folks.
So yeah, what I think in regards to that is I think if you want to do those things, which are a big part of the job, I think also just recognizing that for me, they're the funnest and most fulfilling part of the job. So when I am recording and I'm not having a good time, or if I'm doing an interview and I'm not having a good time, or if I'm, making content in a way that I don't feel the momentum, and it's hard on me. I try to remember the that these things at this stage of the music industry are necessary, and the juice is worth the squeeze. Like it's almost like the playing live and the writing and the response to both is the reward for everything in the music industry that sucks.
yes, that's it. Like there's that idea of like life is a struggle, and that's it. That's the quote. Life is a struggle. If we can accept that, then I don't know. Like it's just like there's always going to be hard parts because I feel like a lot of people like we might want to just we're trying to find the easy route and we're trying to find like something that's gonna like not make us do the hard stuff, but pretty much every industry, everything you're going to do in life is going to be hard. So you have to reframe it, like Charlie's mentioning. Like you have to make yourself look at the why. It always it always comes down to that. So
My brother told me the other day that the reward for good work is more work, and I love that because I love my job. But I do understand that is a lot of people's nightmares, finding out that doing something really rad in your field doesn't necessarily mean that you get to take the next 6 months off. It
Yeah.
usually means that the heat is turned up.
I know. So true, man. I know, and dude, especially for you, it's just the fact that you're juggling acting, and music. I mean, I don't. It's just it genuinely blows my mind. I'm like, I'm amazed by it because I'm like, man, you have to be really present. You have to be super present to do that. Yeah,
Well, I
it's
mean,
amazing.
they're the two things that, I mean, writing a little bit too, like writing screenplays and stuff, but it's just all that's ever interested me. So having a taste of success at it really just makes me like feel like a tiger on a piece of meat, just being like, okay, cool, like this is the opportunity to maybe get to do this on a bigger scale for the rest of my life. So I gotta go after it, and I have um, you know uh, an entire lifetime of rejection in both worlds, so in the music world and the acting world. So having anybody celebrate what I'm up to, um yeah, I'm just not in the business of taking it for granted.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, and that's also really good because you've clearly, like, your teams and the people that have decided to believe in you. It's an amazing success from my perspective and for most people. So it's cool to hear you be like, I've been rejected a lot. So anybody who sees like things like the tip of the iceberg, it's just like, oh, someone's doing something, but there's all this rejection too. Like it's easy to fall. I mean, it's back to that maybe that's my issue, but it's just like, we can't always view somebody being like, oh, it was easy for them, and
Yeah,
there are people out there who just keep going, and like, it's follow your heart and you keep going, like you said from the very beginning of this. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's the only somebody said to me once, like, that's the only thing in common with anybody who ever succeeded.
Oh, okay.
It's just like they're the people who didn't give up.
I love that. You guys hear that? It's not cliche. It's a Charlie, I wanna can we open the floor to any
I
questions?
would love that. Yeah, I would love that. I think there's one.
This the chat is just it's so many active people who are engaged with what you're saying and what we're saying. And I want to thank you guys, like, for like Charlie mentioned earlier, with like lyrics, like the experience of getting people to come out and sing the words, and anything that we're saying, and really engaging about it. It's a crazy validating experience. Like, I don't know, we have problems too. Like, we have problems too, and it feels really, yeah, I can't explain it. I can't explain what it is, honestly, but
There's nothing like it. There's nothing um like it. I think the metaphor for writing music for me is like reaching my hand out in the world with like a question that I was afraid to ask, and feeling the world grab a hold of me and say like, hey, I've been there too. um
mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
that's what playing live and making music feels like to me.
There's nothing
All
like
right,
it.
we got questions. Okay. If you could write one last song before you die, what would the subject be? Starting off with a light one from Madeline. It would probably be about love and helping the less fortunate, and sort of the like, if mortality is on my mind, I'm sure it would be a song about um
God,
love
yeah.
and purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's hard to, like, yeah, I'm doing that in my head, just a brief second of being like, I'm gonna die. And it would be it would be towards just like, thank you for, like, I love you so much for being in my
Yeah.
corner and
Yeah.
support, like, and I support you too. And it's just like, it's like that. It's like Toy Story got it right. In Toy Story 3, they were just all going down into the lava together, and they were looking at each other and they were like crying, like we're all holding hands. Pixar got it right, like that.
I I I I wept when that happened.
Me
I love all
too,
the Toy Story
dude.
characters.
That was the Toy Story that made me weep. Yeah, dude,
Okay.
exactly.
Um,
Um,
Zesty Lightstick asks, "Is there any songs or bands that give you a sense of relief or calm when backstage or otherwise?" I'm gonna let you go first.
okay. Are there any songs or okay, that give you a sense of relief backstage? I mean, okay, so I, I I don't know specifically backstage, but I know that 90s music, 90s alternative grunge rock, soft grunge rock, so, nostalgic stuff, maybe 80s pop, the nostalgic stuff gives me a sense of relief. Like
Oh, cool.
I study, if I listen to new stuff, I'll study it and my mind will work too hard. But if I go there, I feel like I'm getting a sense of relief. Like I'm not getting relief if I'm listening to new songs. If I listen to anything nostalgic, jazz too. Yeah, Charlie.
That's so interesting. Uh, which which grunge bands and songs in particular?
Um, for example, like before we got on this thing, I was like, I need to calm down, and just we were listening to. I was listening to Closing Time. I don't know who that Closing Time and Alanis Morissette. One hand in my pocket.
Oh God,
Um,
I love
yeah,
Atlantis.
yeah, just whatever that is. It could be tattoo. All the things she said could be. Um, obviously Nirvana is classic, but
Yeah, I love Nirvana. What
you may,
gives me a sense of calm? Um, hmm, music wise, like what do I listen to sort of be reminded that everything's gonna be all right?
yes.
Um, I
It's a
don't
vast world, guys. I don't know how many songs there are out there, but there's a
know.
lot.
That's true. I really love the yeah yeah yeahs and sort of all the energy that they have in their music. Um, Frank Ocean to me sometimes makes me sort of feel like the world is um, simpler and more beautiful than I sort of was giving it credit for. Um, the Beatles and the Beach Boys are like that too for me. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Beach Boys. I think my mom's in the chat. She really introduced me to the Beach Boys. Love them.
Hell yeah. Provided by Frank Ocean's a beautiful song. That came on last night. We were in our hotel, which is Top Golf sponsored. So we were
Ooh,
doing this golfing simulator and Frank Ocean came on. It was weird.
that's awesome. Um, yes, you can. You can say hi to everyone. Okay. Yeah, we can. Let me see.
Tell me tell me about the street team.
Oh, the street
Yeah.
team. Y'all, is anybody in the chat? Part of the street team. I see Horizon and I see Kale. Anybody else? The street team, yeah, specifically. You're not talking about the Devlin Colt, but the street team specifically,
Oh,
right?
I wanted to know about both, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, okay, so it's a, how would I describe the Colt and the street team? The street team, which we call the freak team, is a specific type of person who I feel like has more energy. Like we're saying, they're artists too.
Oh, cool.
They're they have energy and they want to express it through an outlet, and this is where we come together and express it towards, like, this is what we're doing, here's our purpose, here's our mission. And it's a certain type of person, it's not for everybody. And the Devlin Cult, well, I feel like it's a bunch of weird, conflicted, quirky people who get together, and they will like to talk about anything and everything, including sending pictures of their cute pets and
Right.
gaming, and venting, and just it's just a weird community. It's like everybody speaks the same language, and it looks like I see that with your fans too. It looks like everybody is connected. Maybe it's back to it's back because so many people have discords and so many people have communities, but they're not like staying continually connected.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all of our battle. Like mine is like we all want to be isolated, but like I want to step in and be like, hey, I know I'm isolated, but I'm trying to connect people as much as possible. Oh, here's my nephew.
Hey,
Here's
buddy.
Hey.
Cute.
Me too. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, we have a Discord community that sounds kind of similar.
Amazing.
Okay, I always get post-show blues. Do you guys get post-tour blues, or are you ready to be home by the end?
I always get post.
Ooh, I don't know. I sort of both. I like the feeling of a job well done, and then like chilling for a couple days. But 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 yeah, no. I mean, I'd rather be on the road than doing most things.
That's a really good way to answer that. Yeah.
How about you?
Nope. Yeah. Same thing. Exactly. Like I feel like anytime I'm on tour, as hard as it is, I feel like I'm exactly where I need to be, and I exhaust myself, and it's actually okay to be exhausted. Because if you think
Completely.
about, yeah, like people back then, they're like working, they're running away from animals, and we have it in us to like really exert ourselves, and we don't think we have the energy to do it, and we actually do, and it feels good to exert it.
Yeah, tapping into that sort of reserve
Yep.
feels good. Whom are you uninterrupted? That can be as a musician or just as a person. Um,
Whom? Okay, I think my chat is lagging, so I can't read it. But whom are you interrupted?
yeah, whom are you interrupted? That can be as a musician or just as a person. Like, is this sort of like a philosophical question? Like, if, like, who, like, the truest version of you, or is there like a definition of interrupted that I'm not familiar with? Uninterrupted, sorry.
I need to read it. I can't see it, and so I'm like not processing it. Sorry.
Okay, whom are you? I'll try first. Whom are you interrupted? That can be as a musician or just as a person. I think who I am at my core,
Oh, I see. I see. Okay.
if that's what the interruption is like,
Interference.
what you're masking, what society, Um, I think that, um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel a bit like just the sensitive kid, that I wanted to be, and maybe didn't get to be because of you know this, that, the third, and bullying and shit. But I think if you strip away all the artifice and musician and actor and um, uh, uh, work ethic and all these things, I think that um, I'm I'm just a person who um, is desperate to connect and just sort of loves others, and it's always just like um, compassionate and wants everybody to get along.
Dang, Dude, Charlie, I don't usually ever say like, yeah, you pretty much have articulated a lot of what I'm thinking, but you really do. You've done it several times where I'm like, damn, like you're doing the hard work, the labor for me and for people to come to these conclusions. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's
I,
no,
I hope that's an all right answer. I
just
hope
great.
that's sort of what Nuke Musician was getting at.
Yeah. I mean
Okay.
I mean, yeah, and it's yeah, and that's the reason why I intuitively picked up on that from you, Charlie. Like I know that we have that connection of the I don't know there's a desperate need. There's a desperate need to connect. Whatever that motivation is from, I don't know what deficiency that's from or what love
Yeah.
that's from, but yeah. And then our normal place, it's like we're surviving as sensitive people, just trying to find balance. Maybe like I would say like I'm trying to find balance.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be intact with myself. I'm trying to find pre- self control, self preservation, self reflection, and the world is very chaotic. So I'm trying to create a bubble in myself to come out and be a vessel for good. Yeah,
Oh God, I love that. Yeah, no, completely. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's also like just the conditioning, the sort of background when I just think about how um uh you know, I would get ditched or bullied or whatever for being like too much or weird or um yeah, I think I've always really enjoyed um getting to know somebody and feeling like somebody's got my back and vice versa. So um and I want other people to have that sensation, knowing how awful it is to not.
yeah. And that I feel like that's the next level. That's very, you know, that shows that you've processed certain things because it's not just about like I escape and I really want a deep connection and I escape into it. And it could be enmeshment or it could be just like
Mhm.
falling into somebody, but you're also having another perspective of being like, hey, I've been there too, and I don't want you to feel this way, and I've found a way to cope with it too. So yeah.
So this is a lighter question, hopefully. But Rail DeCoste, I hope I pronounced that right, asks us, "What's your favorite scary movie?" And maybe they're just quoting Scream, um, why don't you go first, young Jeff?
Favorite scary movie. I mean, I always say Waxworks. It was a 1989 film, and it was just the best possible to me gothic fantasy movie where you're in a wax museum and you're going to a bunch of different scenes and you get to fall into it and experience the real life wax version of whatever that was. Like you have like a werewolf and he's attacking somebody, and then you get to go into that whole world the character did, and they get to experience what is so that's the best one to me. I think I'll just leave it at that.
That sounds so cool. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it was like a B roll movie or like a B rated movie, but it was just the coolest thing. Yeah, I still think it is.
Um, I'm a big fan of The Thing by John Carpenter.
Ooh,
Also, The Shining and The Exorcist. Like, I love. Oh, you know what's amazing? If you're also like you want some humor with your horror film, um, all the Sam Raimi shit, Evil Dead 1 and 2, Army of Darkness, Drag Me to Hell. Sam Raimi's incredible. John Carpenter's incredible. Um, Jordan Peele's latest horror movie, Nope. That's probably my favorite of the three he's made.
out of the three, okay. Um, nope.
But they're all very good.
Yeah. Uh, no. I mean, It took me a while to make the connection between Peel. Steve, what are the two comedians? Keenan and Peele. I'm like, man, this would not expect you to make this great of horror movies. Yeah.
I mean, that's like, again, it's such a cool thing to celebrate. You know, it's like Donald Glover writing for 30 Rock and then being on Community and then also making one of like the coolest records ever in the form of Awaken My Love. It's like I love anybody who sort of just continues to try shit. It's just so sick.
Donald Glover is the epitome of that, whatever that is. Yeah. Oh my God.
All right. Do y'all, random question here, do y'all enjoy horses or have any pets? I enjoy horses.
Love horses.
I rode a horse for a TV show briefly, and I really liked connecting with that horse. Like, it's so cool how they're such huge, powerful creatures, but they're incredibly gentle and intelligent. Like, a horse could fuck you up so easy, and they have this incredible like uh, serene gentleness, and honestly, it's so interesting to like be nervous around one because they pick up on it, and you can kind of calm each other down. Horses are cool as hell. And then I used to foster cats, and my ex had a little dog, so I had a little dog for a while.
True humanitarian.
How about you? Horses, pets?
Uh, I mean, love horses so much. Like exactly said, gentle giants, and I got a cat.
Nice.
I got a cat. Yeah, it's. I mean, animals are. I used to just think pretend I was a dog when I was a kid, and I just lived outside with my dogs. I didn't really have at the young years. Didn't really have friends. I just thought I was a dog.
Yeah,
They're just the sweetest.
that's deeply relatable.
Yeah.
I also sort of, I think, again, just like you have this concept of innocence that like that animals and baby animals sort of like really radiate this purity and this innocence. And yeah, I just wanted all the animals to be my friends. I was very lonely, very quiet kid. Um, let's see here. Um, this is okay. So, yeah, let's take some questions from the chat, and then let's wrap this up in like 5 minutes or so.
Absolutely.
But before we do, come see us in Dallas together tomorrow night. It's going to be a really great show. San Antonio was really fun, and basically, I wanted to reiterate that if you saw us in San Antonio, just DM us, and we'll throw you on the guest list for the Dallas show if you can make it out. Because the more the merrier. And this Dallas show, it's our first time there. Have you played there before?
I think I've played in Dallas. It has to be four. I've had to have at least played Dallas three times. Three times, I think.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited to see everybody if anybody's in this chat and is going to the Dallas show. I appreciate all of you guys being stoked about it, and I'm excited to see you again.
Ooh, Cartoon Crush. And then somebody said, what's something that keeps you motivated to keep making music? Just how much I love it, just how much of a rich history there is when it comes to music, and how much I want to be a part of that. Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, like there's two sides to me. It's just like outside of the grinding hysterical thing that the pressure, but then the main thing for me, did you say the rich history behind it? Yeah.
Yeah, any art form, like if you truly love it, you know, you can just dive
I
in and just
know.
be forever
I
satiated
know.
by what has sort of happened beforehand and what's going on now and what's going to happen in the future. That's why I never really understand the concept of boredom.
Yeah.
Because like there's just so much cool shit in the art world for me, and if like whatever, if like skiing is your thing, then like look into everything that fucking has ever happened with skiing and science or whatever your thing is. But for me it's like, you know, as I hit some milestones in music, it's always just so exciting because I know in the back of my head, like, oh, how cool is that? Like, we've played the Troubadour, Elton John's played there, you know, shit like that.
Dude. Yeah. It's the it's so exciting to me to hear so many like say go back to classical music and you hear a certain mood that's being conveyed,
Yeah.
and and you go through you there's everything has been done,
Mm-hmm.
but just the idea of exploring, making connections between like, oh, Chopin is kind of like Regina Spektor, it's kind of like this
Yeah.
Regina song and this song, and they have these little ties, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love to make a song that was my twist on that capsule of you know, it's just the cool, it's just, and there's so many of those where it's just like I'm not done yet, and I don't know when it would be done. Maybe, you know, some people get
You
finished
want
early.
you want to make your mark, man. And so that's like, yeah, the idea of like what keeps you motivated to make music. Like that was the initial question. And for me, it's definitely just how much I love making music and how much I love making music in particular with um with my bandmates.
So cool.
Um yeah, and then somebody said cartoon crush. I I had a
Candy Crush.
I had a thing for Megara from Hercules. She's really like sarcastic and mean. I was attached to her. Um, Lola
That's so
Bunny.
funny.
I don't know.
Oh wait, what was the second one you said?
Lola Bunny.
From
Space Jam.
oh, oh okay. Yeah. Dude. So, just it's so ridiculous. It's funny just picturing us as kids just being loving cartoon, thinking that a cartoon character is sexy. Um, yeah, I think it was Ariel. I think from what I was told, it was Ariel, the mermaid.
Yeah, I mean she's got it all. Uh, somebody says that we should do a collab song. That sounds really fun. I'd love to make something like that happen.
Dude, yeah, I'd be honored. Yeah, that was
Have I seen
no?
BoJack Horseman? My bassist Mikey is like a BoJack Horseman fucking uh encyclopedia. I've only seen bits and pieces. I really like the episode where everybody's underwater. Jessica Rabbit is punishingly hot. That's not a cartoon crush. That's like a current crush. Thank you for following Hotel Mira X Hex 16, and I encourage all the Hotel Mira fans to follow Demi the Daredevil and everything he's up to. I think it's a it's an awesome project. We're very lucky to play with them the other night. We're very lucky to play with them tomorrow night. And I hope it's not the last that we've seen of each other. And I do think it's like um, we're sort of tapping at the same door conceptually with what we want our music's impact to be. And I think like this has been a really cool conversation in terms of recognizing that and you know elaborating on it.
Dude, you say things very well. God dang. I get so excited. I'm like my brain is just following every word you say, and it's just like you're picking out the perfect words, and I'm like, yes. But
Man,
yeah.
that's so sweet. I find myself to be just horribly inarticulate, but
I mean it. Yeah, but vice versa. If anybody was not aware of Hotel Mira, if anybody's part of this, and we'll keep on, there'll be more associations in the future, and us just talking as human beings. But I could already see a similarity with the two music community bases, and I don't know. I just feel like it's like the real deal, and it feels really good. It feels really good as an artist to like we play with a bunch of people, and there's certain people we always connect with in different ways. But I feel super connected to Hotel Mira, like everything that they're about, and reading their lyrics, watching Charlie live, watching the band live. I'm just like, this is like I feel it in my soul. So if you guys feel Demi in your soul, then you'll find it. Yeah.
Likewise, man. Yeah, looking forward to tomorrow and yeah, and wherever things go from there.
Yeah, Dallas is gonna be great. We'll talk about a photographer. We need to get something shot for this one.
I agree.
I dropped the ball.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Hold on.
All right.
Well, I hope to see you. My chat is timed out, but if anybody here is going to Dallas, I will see you then. And like Charlie said, anybody who's San Antonio, there's a few people coming from San Antonio I saw. So yeah, we're excited to see you.
Yeah.
Let's hang again.
Yeah, tickets. I think there will be some at the door, and I think you can still get a couple online through the link in our bio. Yeah. Okay. Docs_GTS is going to come see us in Dallas, and
Docs, cool.
One-eyed Weber. I'm sorry, you pretty much missed the whole conversation. What band I'm in? I'm in a band called Hotel Mira, and I'm the singer. All right, y'all. Deuces.
Hey, later. Thanks, Charlie. Bye, guys.